So it's April 25th. It's around 9 o'clock at night or something like this. It's a beautiful night outside. But what I wanted to discuss tonight is how I wrote the AFP, and that's the Commonwealth, and they're out of Australia, and they responded very well as far as their documentation is like getting it solidified, and I know that they have it, the information I've processed. But what I want to talk about is why I contacted them, and I contacted the AFP because I believe we have a problem here in America within self-defense not being available, because I think that there's some technology that was rearranged before it got to even our knowledge, let alone, anyways, what I think happened was they have a temple of them, and apparently what it's looking like is the folk within my diplomatic community video number 5, it says that the Order 9 Angles works with the folk and tries to control their laws because they're hidden. So if the temple of them is working with the folk laws out of Australia seem to line up with this defense that we were supposed to have against revenge porn. And revenge porn is, to me, if you were to be able, basically it's the folk laws. Okay, the folk laws support, before I go into that revenge porn, the folk laws that they made within Australia were initially created on EEG and BCI, which is brain computer interface, and EEG is like a transfer of information, I believe. And they didn't know what it was, how to process it as value within the Secretariat Board for investigations that run with like high end, high technology for investigations of crimes committed, that are just heinous crimes and stuff like that. It goes within a domicile, so you would have to open up a domicile. Normally you open it within the Curia, and then it would go from the Curia to the Vatican, and then it would go to like this weird ass Chinese sounding place, but it's and then they'll process it to a 9-digit number. That's how they have the Order 9 Angles, and it's kind of like making fun of it a little bit. But the folk did determine that these EEGs and BCIs was a worth of value of $2 a piece. So you would have $2. What I think is going on is you have $2 for every EEG and BCI transfer within an investigation on trying to figure out what this man's mind is about. And then they wanted to try to curvature, I guess, the nature of this man doing this, because I don't know how it works exactly, but what it's looking like is that they, like, a revenge porn is what would be like, say somebody stole your girlfriend and they were like making you, for some reason they were making you listen to her being raped. Like this seems like a very odd concept, but it's not a very odd concept when you get into the Temple of Them, because their title is Sinister Solidarity. If you look up Temple of Them, it's Sinister Solidarity, and it's ABSU. And ABSU is transfer of communications through Africa. And it's white. To me, it looks like it's a terrible vampire group. And when I say vampire, it's like taking technology from like North Korea, China, all like the best of the best technology, and they make a it's like an astro vampire cult, and basically, so that $2 would be worth on a Secretariat Board whatever corporates would invest into an investigation. And if they set, like, so say the corporate sets on, like, every corporate process like $500,000 a piece on compound interest, then that would just generate compound interest for an investigation, and process a payment, and then that would help investigate, to help the world. And that would be Illuminati-ish, but it's really just called Secretariat within Cosmos Satellite, and other write-ups. But what I think is going on is that before that safety mechanism got to us to fight against that, I think the Satanic Temple, alongside the folk, they manipulated the folk into like thinking, well, we're gonna like play rape into somebody's mind so that we can monitor and see if that guy has a response to having previously raped somebody. Now this makes it seems to make sense, but it doesn't make sense when you start getting into the satanic world of Temple of Them, because they say it's sinister solidarity. You're by yourself inside your mind. Nobody's going to help you, and they're raping your mind until you kill yourself. And it's human sacrifice. It's not an investigation of Illuminati. Illuminati wouldn't do such anything. And plus, I'm looking for trails of the satanic cult because it's Node 534. That's Temple of Blood. And originally, the Baptists, they had in the Order Nine Angles FBI Vaults Volume 1, they have it written like where they have stop and force, and they have everything written within the Baptist Church. That it's and it even mentions the Illuminati, and it says that this is not allowed. Basically, they try to put a stop to it, and they wrote stop and force. But if you look into John Attack online, he talks about especially with his scientific Scientology influx within the Golden Dawn as well. It's like this is weird ass infiltration, but it seems like it says something about stop and force is like a crossbow mentioned. Anyway, it's very bizarre because even like Makovich, he has a crossbow and stuff, and I don't know if they're working on the investigation or how it goes, but because when you start mentioning stuff like that, that's big names. You don't really want to talk too much bad, but there's either two things going on: either they know about this Order Nine Angles infiltration and they're trying to stop it, or they participate in it and they knowingly go against the stop and force within the FBI vault files. But that's an infiltration nevertheless. So I can't really speak on that. But at the same time, I'm saying, but that is pretty odd, if you read that. But the thing about it is I'm looking to the source of Temple of, or Order Nine Angles, then Temple of Blood, and then it goes to Temple of Them. But the folk before it got here, it's looking like they worked together to correspond with this satanic sacrifice through astral vampirism, but they're using it to where it's like just to rape a man's mind. And I'm looking for trails of I'm looking for trails of money through these nodes on mappingmilitants.org, because they're technology nodes. Like Node 534 is supposed to be just South Carolina Temple of Blood, but really technically, if you type in Node 534, it can be a form of telecommunications through alternate Linux programs and stuff like that. And then Node 580 is the transparency of North Carolina's node, and that transparency is 580 node charm, and it goes back to a mission control center, and it's extremely advanced. And then it plugs into a way to hack into artificial intelligence, but artificial intelligence with power over like nature and like weather. You'd be surprised how advanced this stuff gets. Like even astral projection through your pineal gland, and like it seems very odd, but like plugging in, it's insane what they can do. If you don't believe in me, go look up the NSA. What I'm saying, if you don't believe in what I say, go look at the NSA. They have like people that perform these astral hunts and just do weird things. But the paper trail is what I'm looking for. Because I'm wondering, because if you call yourself Illuminati, and you're in the Secretariat, and anything that is done on legal lawful tender, instead of tender or equity, which is totally different than the law. So what I'm saying is how can you be Illuminati in an Illuminati court if you do things through legal lawful tender in an extremist terrorist node? I don't think that you can really stand on it. I don't really think that it's legal. I don't really think that you because even if certain white power groups that are strong call themselves Illuminati and they're doing things on legal lawful tender, I think you've already messed up, because you don't even need a shashori to bring it down from the high courts, one, and two, you made everything that you contracted in legal lawful tender. It's not no longer Illuminati. It's not sovereign. You entered into a contract with money that is legally and it's lawful. And I think this is very doable. And I think to stop the Satanic Army, you should really, because it's a communist Marxist Satanist group. And I think the Church of Satan has gone I think they're pretty much with the Temple of Satan. I don't know how it works, but like they are out of line. They're not anything that Michael Aquino created for self-defense of a buffer zone between the church and the state, and just between weird alternate source of lifestyle that's communist. Because when we start getting into communist Marxist Satanism, it is a whole nother ballgame. But nevertheless, thank you for listening.